Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
It is time for our Outdoor Tidbits with Mr. Jake Bolks, who is joining us here this morning. Jake, what's the good word? How's it going, man?
It's going. A little rainy morning, but a good day.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump right into it, shall we? We've got a couple questions to hit up with you. So this texter texted in a little bit earlier in the week, but he or she wanted to know, hey, with the spring crappie run, just want to make sure what the possession limit is for crappies. Thought it was 10, but looked into DNR regulations and it says it's 25 mixed bag. Could you please clarify? And it's for Lake Wissota he or she's looking at.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I'm not familiar with Lake Wissota changes at any point recently. I believe it's been like that for a bit. But the takeaway from it is, it's really important to look at the the rigs before you go, because they do change from time to time. I think Lake Eau Claire will change in the future. I don't know if it's this year or next year, like next year or the year after. But take a look at them. If you think about fishing rigs, if you think about it in the sense of a base layer, everything is your general inland state regulation. So if you go to the back of the regulations pamphlet, there's a big list that shows the general inland state regs, and that's what Lake Wissota falls under. 25 total fish, panfish, any combination of them is what you can get at Lake Wissota. And then the other pages where they have the county names, those are your specialized rigs. So if you don't see a lake in those specialized rigs, under each county, then you just default to the general inland state rig. So in Chippewa County, it has a few different lakes that have some bass rules, some panfish rules, but mostly it's just the walleye rules. Otherwise, most of the stuff in Chippewa County falls under the general inland stuff.
All right, good note right there. So that's a good. I think that's a good reminder too, with fishing season in full swing too, with so many different bodies of water.
Yeah, the opening, depending on your schedule and this and that, you might not have been able to get out yet. So, at the beginning time of the summer, especially with Memorial Day coming up and such, it's definitely a good time to relook at the rigs, relook at the lakes you're going to be fishing. And everything like that. Make sure something hasn't changed so you don't take the wrong fish home. Mm-hmm.
Jake, I know turkey season is still going on. I'll be heading out tomorrow. Going to be a little warm, it sounds like, there too. But did you have any luck, by the way? When you went, did you?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, I got one. Oh. I got one this year, so I can at least back up a little bit of what I said the other day. But yeah, I got one. I definitely had a really fun hunting experience with a buddy's dad. Hunted for a couple of days. Took a little bit, but put one on the ground. Good news for you. I'm still seeing plenty of turkeys out and about. I've been thinking about buying another bonus tag, but plenty of turkeys about. Still getting videos and pictures of people harvesting them. Someone just got one yesterday in the county forest. So tons of turkeys still moving about and stuff like that.
You're not making me feel any better by putting that pressure on, because I'm not totally confident I'm going to get one, but I hope I'm wrong.
Hey, it's not pressure. It's optimism that there's plenty of turkeys running around in the fifth season.
I'm just wondering.
Sometimes
I was just wondering if I go to Little League again and I see one on the side of the road, is that okay if I just kind of swerve a little bit and maybe tag it that way or something like that? So
there might be a we might have a more personal conversation at that point. But it's actually a good note. If someone does see someone hit one, or you hit a turkey, you don't have to burn your turkey tag on it if you want to keep it, or buy a bonus tag or anything like that. Just as a reminder, car-killed turkey are free, just like car-killed deer. You actually call the same number, and you can just register it for free online, take it home, and eat it up, if you want some vengeance on it for damaging your car.
Just a random question, and I know we kind of talked about this before in the past, but, with turkey hunting, have you run into any incidents where, maybe somebody accidentally, got two turkeys after a shot, and if so, what's kind of the protocol on that?
Yeah, nope, it's pretty common. Yeah, I think we mentioned it a little bit the other week. Just there's been a fair amount of self-reports this year, which is good. But if you do, if you do shoot two at once, if you find out when you go to register your bird that you shot in the wrong season, or you forgot to buy part of your license or something like that, the best thing to do is just call the tip line and self-report it, or call the local warden and just explain it. Because, again, it's a lot easier for us to use our discretion and work through something when it's self-reported versus us trying to go through records or hear complaints or hear rumors and then kind of track it down and come to your house and interview you that way. So if you make a mistake, it happens to every sportsman, every sportswoman. No matter what sport you're doing or what you're hunting or fishing, you're going to make a mistake at some point, and it's more or less how you handle it.
Mm-hmm. So if you accidentally, where does, I guess, the extra carcass go? You know what I mean? Like, does that get donated in that?
Yeah. So for the most part, if we can utilize it in the sense of, like, it's safe to, cut up and give to a food pantry, or, we could technically sell it to someone for like $10. Or try to find someone that needs food or something like that. We have different options on getting it to a good source so it doesn't go to waste.
Okay. Could that person buy it back initially? Because you just mentioned $10.
No, not if you're the one that, even if you receive a warning or something like that, if you're involved in any sort of like illegal animal, we're not going to give it or sell it back to anyone, you or like a friend or a family member, because of like a conflict of interest. And it's long story short, in the past people have done that and the animal's worked its way back to the person that illegally harvested it. At the end of the day, it's an illegal animal, so the title goes back to the state, but we always try, the wardens always try to utilize it the best way we possibly can.
Mm-hmm. All right, it's a good note there too. So
yeah,
I'm just kind of looking at. Doesn't look like for fishing. I guess the 25th it's coming up here. That's the Muskie Northern Zone.
Yeah, the Northern Muskie opener. So that's just a good reminder. You still that's going to open, and if a fishing season isn't open and it says it's closed, like the Northern Muskie Zone, it means like closed for catch and release fishing as well. So we've seen a fair amount of people that are like, oh yeah, I know the season's closed, I'm just catch and release fishing. That doesn't count. If there's a catch and release season, it'll be specifically mentioned in the regs, like the bass season. Otherwise, if a season's closed, it means you can't target them, you can't catch and release them. If you incidentally catch one, not the end of the world, just release the fish, but you can't target them.
Mm-hmm. All right.
When it's closed.
So, because I have it up here where it says large and smallmouth bass catch and release at all other times of the year. So that just refers to the, where it says largemouth bass Northern Zone harvest opens up May 4th. So it's just catch and release any other time.
Yep. Okay. So obviously with that, I think it was like 5 years ago now, through the spring hearings, they had a change where instead of bass closing with like walleye and such in the spring, they just changed it to catch and release.
Okay.
So you could fish them year round, but you see how it's specifically labeled in there as catch and release. There's no specifically labeled catch and release muskie or catch and release walleye or paddlefish or anything like that. So you wanna check that before you go fishing.
Gotcha. Did you have one there, intern?
Yeah. Hey, Jake, I was watching a TV show and this guy was fishing with a bow and arrow. Is that legal around here?
It is for certain species and certain times of the year.
Okay, so it's not, your fishing license doesn't allow you to go out with a bow and arrow. You got to buy a special license?
No, your fishing license does allow it, but you have to. It's typically only for rough fish, so like carp and different size. Bow and arrow fishing or bow fishing is only legal for rough fish, and they did add catfish to that a few years ago. So hypothetically, you could shoot a catfish with your bow, but you can't shoot any sort of game fish or panfish. So no bass or sturgeon or bluegill or anything like that. But yeah, all you need is a fishing license, and you're good to go. You just have to, go for target the right species and do it at the right time of year.
Now, when I grew up down in the southern part of the state, and I'd hang out with my buddies, they were going. is we're going to catch bullheads. I never hear anybody talk about bullheads around here. Are there bullheads around here? Or what? Nobody talks about it.
They're still here. They're definitely in the waters and stuff like that, in small ponds. But you're right. I don't go and check people and they got a bucket of bullheads. They would just be considered a rough fish.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
they're
pretty good to eat once you get around their stingers.
I've heard that. I've heard stories of how you flesh them.
Yeah.
My parents used to tell me how they used to get them out of the lake and flesh them and eating them and this and that. But I can't think of the last time I checked someone with even one, or let alone a bucket of bullhead.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Jake, before I let you go, I just want to bring this up for Bob here, too, since we talked about magnet fishing. I know this was a few weeks ago, but did you see the story a few weeks ago, too? There's, I think it was some kids magnet fishing at Lake Holcomb. They found a stolen car underwater, a car that was reported stolen years ago.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know did you see that, too, Jake, a while back?
I guess, no, I don't remember.
Okay.
Are you talking about the car that was lifted out by the sheriff's department?
Yeah, because I think they, caught somebody snagged it magnet fishing or something like that, and they found it under there. So,
I don't know. I don't know. That might have been the case when it was initially found.
Yep.
I definitely know it's been under the sheriff's office and the DNR has known about it for a couple of years because we've been trying to. It was in a really bad spot to get it towed out or to get it removed. So we've been working through some stuff. I talked with the Chippewa Sheriff's Office last year about different methods on how we're going to get that thing removed, but I don't know how it was initially found, so that very well could have been through a magnet fisher a long time ago.
Yeah, it says
here,
a
couple of years ago.
It says, according to the Chippewa County Sheriff, the vehicle was discovered by some kids out magnet fishing. So
really? Yeah. I guess I didn't know that part of it. That is interesting. I mean, we talked about it before. It's crazy what you'll find under the water, and unfortunately, in different parts of the state, people have always used the water as kind of like a dump sometimes. And obviously, that car's stolen, but when you're pulling up bikes and guns and safes, obviously, that's.
Yep.
I don't think they got there on their own.
Yep. So there you go. I know we were just talking about that a while ago. So there you go. Cars too.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, all right, Jake. Hey, we appreciate the time as always, buddy. Enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll catch up with you again next week before Memorial Day weekend, man.
Yeah, no, that'll be a lot of fun. We'll hit on it, but just as a reminder, if anyone's listening, if they haven't started updating their ATV, UTV, or boat registrations, now's the time to do it before the mad rush before the weekend if you actually want to get it done, especially if you're going in person to the office. So we'll talk about it next week, but a good time to start checking your equipment before the busy weekend.
Good point. All right, Jake, appreciate it. We'll catch up with you again soon.
Yep. Yeah, see you guys.
There you go. Jake Bolks, Conservation Warden for Outdoor Tidbits this morning.